Can you start over, please?
Yes.
Elena, can you just start over with the roll call, please? Sorry.
Yes. So Helena is here and present. We have Liz Turner present.
Present.
Mrs. B present.
Yes.
Teresa.
Here.
We
I'm here.
have Fran. Christina. I thought, isn't Christina on here?
I'm here. Sorry, I was relocating.
Maybe she can't talk. We have Luke present. We heard him earlier.
Right here.
And I mentioned Teresa.
Yes, I'm here.
We also have some guests here.
Stephanie's here.
Oh, Stephanie.
Yeah, I'm here.
Is that everyone? Good. So we have some guests here. We have Brian Coleman from GoBiz, and we have, let's see, what else do we have? Rachel Ponce and Leslie Jordan is here. Did I get them? Did I get everyone? Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Welcome. Welcome. So, Helena, are you there? What happened to Helena?
Maybe she's looking for the mute button.
Oh, she disappeared.
Yeah, let's wait a minute.
There she
There she-
is.
Ah, there you are.
Somehow I got kicked off. I'm back, I believe, now.
Okay.
You're here.
Are you in a stable spot, Helena?
Yes.
Okay, good. All
We
right.
just stopped working.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go take it away.
So we did the roll call. We're going to get a motion to approve the minutes for March 16th,
You want me to put the minutes up?
please.
Okay. All righty.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes.
I second it.
We have
Who
a
is the
second
second?
for that?
Yeah, I second.
So that was moved by
I don't know why
Mrs. B and seconded by
with
who?
my connection.
Christina.
Christina. Okay. Or both? Helena, are you still there?
Renee's there, and now Helena's gone.
She's
I'm-
back.
I don't know what's going on with technology today.
Hmm.
It just keeps phasing me out.
Okay. We'll go ahead, and it was moved by Mrs. B, seconded by Christina to approve the minutes.
So the move. All in favor, the minutes are passed.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
As a
Yes.
formality,
Yeah, you have to approve the minutes. Okay. So
we're
what
just going to go with, yes, Brian.
go ahead, Helena. Yeah. We have the next item on the agenda, our technical advisory team members.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I was just about to welcome and thank you for your continued participation. Your knowledge and expertise is greatly appreciated amongst our team. And thank you. And welcome on.
Yeah, and maybe Brian, you might share a little bit about, I know you're brand new with GoBiz. Maybe you're not brand new with GoBiz, but you're brand new here on the Central Coast.
Yes, well, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm the new Regional Economic Recovery Coordinator for the Central Coast with the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. I did start my position last month, so I am pretty new to the agency and the role. I'm actually located in San Luis Obispo, but I've been living on the Central Coast for about 3 years now. And in my position, my role will be to coordinate activities surrounding the SURF program, which is the Community Economic Fund grant. I look forward to hopefully having continued engagement with everybody, and thank you for having me this evening.
Very good. And usually what we do is we ask our advisory team members to, maybe give a little update on things that are happening in their world for the benefit of the group. And, so I think it's great that we have a U.S. coordinator, Brian. We're looking forward to working with you definitely. As we go through, you're going to be principally involved in the SURF program. Okay. And of course, Dana explained about the SURF program before, and we're all looking forward to participating in that, definitely. And how about you, Renee?
Hi, I'm sorry, I was having problems hearing everyone, so I had to get off and get on my laptop. And my video is not working, so I apologize. Welcome, Brian. Nice to meet you. Hi, everyone. I just got out of a board meeting and I've been in meetings all day, so I apologize for not being totally prepared, but I wanted to take part. Where the EDC is working on the SEDS process for the San Benito County, and we just received the proposals for the SEDS process, and we will be reviewing those until the 12th and selecting the top 3 consultants to help us prepare the SEDS document. So I will definitely, I am setting up a SEDS strategy committee, and I would like to include not only the mayor, but maybe Brian or Don, and then someone from this committee. And I'm sorry, I'm getting some background noise. And I'm also moving forward with the SURF program, or I'm doing an overview for our Economic Development Partnership Group, which I would like to put a couple of members here on that committee, and I can send you the Zoom link. Once a month, every second Tuesday of the month between 4 and 5 o'clock, we have a Zoom meeting that includes members of the EDC, the San Juan Bautista Community Business Association, the Hollister Downtown Association, San Benito County Business Council, the Chamber of Commerce, and other organizations that are interested in economic development. And so on Monday, the 11th, we will have a meeting from 4 to 5 with an overview of the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, MBAP, with the president, the new president, Tara Goria. I don't know how you say her last name, but she is going to outline her work that they're doing for SURF and how the connection to San Benito County is very important. And then she is also planning to have a meeting sometime in May, the first week of May, in San Benito County. And so I'm working on that with her and setting it up with the Community Foundation for San Benito County. And there are numerous organizations that are involved with that, all the way to Ventura, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, Monterey. And we have a working committee that I think we should add you to. They're mostly community foundations, but it's also IMBAC and different organizations. So I'll forward that information to you, Brian, and we can decide who might want to be included in that meeting. I think it's very important to have San Juan Bautista included.
One of the questions that I have is you have, can you just briefly list the different opportunities for economic development partnership? You mentioned several in your summary. So we have the Economic Development Partnership Group, and that is a group that you have individuals from different economic development organizations participating. And would that be something that you think you would think that a member of this group would be helpful, or is that a staff sort of thing?
I think it would be very important to have a staff member and maybe also someone from this committee. I think it's very important to be involved. We do have several individuals from the Business Council and San Juan Bautista Community Business Association, Bob Quaid. And so I think that there's no reason why not to add a few more. It has been limited to, certain individuals for a time now, and I think there's no reason why not to open it up. So I'll be glad to send you the Zoom and the agenda, and perhaps the meeting minutes from our last meeting. We usually try to do one guest speaker at each event. Last time we did Strata Verde Innovation Park. And this coming meeting, we're doing an overview of Monterey Bay Economic Partnership and what their role is with the SURF program.
Yeah, I think as the city's representative on economic development, that it would be the city's official group for economic development. It would be appropriate to have somebody from this group participate.
I agree.
We would want to, at some point, open that up for discussion. Maybe as part of your, under your discussion items and under action items, certainly, appointing someone would be appropriate. Ryan, you have your hand up?
I just was going to make a suggestion, because I think I heard like what Brian heard, and it sounded like there was a couple different and
You're breaking up, Fran. Still breaking up.
being worked on by that particular group. And that way we can all review it as members of this committee, and vote on who is from this group for each of the group,
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
We're only catching some of what you're saying, Fran. But
Okay,
I
I'm
think
sorry, I'm in Trespinos right now.
Okay, I think we get the idea, though. What we could do, Renee, is if you could just give us just run down the names of the groups that you listed real quickly. Then I can double back and we can talk with you about those and how best to get this group involved. So we have one, and what were the other ones? Unmute.
Sorry about that. We have Bob Quaid and Jill Pedron from the San Juan Committee.
We're talking about the other groups that you mentioned. In addition to the Economic Development Partnership, what were the other groups?
Right, the San Juan Committee, the San Benito County Business Council, the Hollister Downtown Association, the San Benito County Chamber of Commerce,
Okay,
and then the EDC.
okay, all right.
Also including, now just today, we've decided to add a representative from the planning department, from RMA, Resource Management Agency, and also someone from the planning for the city.
Okay, so in addition to the Economic Development Partnership Group, what were the other groups that you mentioned that you're coordinating with? You're doing you're starting a surf program, organizing, and
Right, the Community Foundation for San Benito County has started a working group for the surf program, and they initially started it with other community foundations that are in the region for us for that program, and just put me into that group. It's MBAP, Ventura Foundation, Santa Cruz,
okay.
a lot of different organizations, and I can send you that list.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I want to make sure
Yeah,
San Juan Bautista is included.
yeah. What I'm interested in is in getting a handle for this group on all of the organized groups that you're coordinating with, so that we can advise this Economic Development Advisory Committee on all of the groups that are currently active and are organized. I know there are subsidiary groups involved in all these, but we just want to get a handle on all the groups that are organized around economic development. So that would be great to have that list.
Okay,
Awesome.
I'll send all of that to you, and
Great,
we can go from there.
great. Leslie, your hand's up. Unmute.
It is, it is, it is.
We can't hear you. Boy, we are having trouble. I think you might be, I think your audio might be turned off or something. No, we can't hear you, Leslie.
Do we not pay the bill? Just kidding.
Yeah, no, there's no reason that we should not be able to hear people.
I keep get knocked off the call.
Yeah.
Leslie, we couldn't hear anything you said.
Can you hear us?
Leslie, we didn't hear you.
I can hear you, Teresa and Brian.
I was just saying, we did not hear anything you said.
Yeah, we didn't hear you, Leslie. Can you hear us?
Once again,
Yeah. All right.
I think
You're not-
she's gone. Oh,
yeah.
she's back, but we can't hear her.
All right. Well, let's continue. Leslie will come back in a minute, hopefully. So we are at a point now on the agenda, Helena, where we're going to hear from public comment for items not on the agenda.
So Brian just specified if there's any other comments that people want to bring up that's not on agenda that we cannot take action on, but we can at least hear.
I have something. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yes, Brian.
Okay, so this has been my my first year being a hands-on volunteer for the Poppy Jasper International Film Festival. And I would like to get this on one of our agendas in the next 3 months or so to talk a little bit about the festival and how it went, and really try to express what a great tourism opportunity it is. So I just want to get it as a placeholder somewhere in the future to talk more about it with this group.
So you would like that to be an agenda topic?
Yes, at some point, in the next couple of months.
Okay, great. That sounds perfect. Anybody else have anything that's not on the agenda?
Okay, let's
Okay,
move
there aren't
on to
any?
the next.
Yep.
No.
So the next item is discussion items, and you have your vision statement that you really haven't adopted yet, surprisingly, but that is here in your packet, and I have that actually.
Could you put it up for us? We just received
Yeah.
those from you, didn't we?
Yes, there you go.
So committee, would we like to, has everybody reviewed it, and would we like to adopt this as our vision statement that can be altered at a later date and time if need be? Can I get a consensus from the group of whether or not we want to move
Mrs. B
forward with
has
it?
her hand up.
Okay.
Yes, I think we've spent enough time on this, and a lot of effort has been put into it, and I think we should adopt it as it is now, and if it needs amending later, we can do that.
So Mrs. B is moving to adopt it. Do we have someone to second that?
I can second that. This is Christina.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that sounds unanimous.
So it's moved. We have adopted this as our new vision statement. Now I think we'll go on to these are our action items, and to get a report from the Parklet Ad Hoc Committee.
Yeah, does any member of the Parklet Ad Hoc Committee want to take a shot at presenting your recommendation to the rest of the advisory committee? Or would you like me to do that? EDCAC.
I think you can do that, Brian. You were there.
Okay, all right, that's what everybody likes. Anybody feels like they want to do this? I'd be happy to do it. So we had a process that we followed. People were asked, as I mentioned in the staff report. The staff report represents the committee's thoughts about parklets, subcommittee's thoughts about parklets, and really represents what they think, what the subcommittee felt the Economic Development Advisory Committee should send off to the City Council as a recommendation. And just to sort of summarize our process, the committee members were asked to say what they liked and what they didn't like about parklets. We did a couple of round robins on that question. I took notes and then came back to the committee at the second meeting and asked people to, after summarizing those, asked people to, really thumbs up or thumbs down on some key questions or some key statements that came out of those notes. And really the notes were, just so that you understand, the notes are the parklet, what I call the organized discussion summary, are really bullet points that represent the statements that individual committee members made as they discussed the parklets in the first meeting. And so, what committee members were asked to do is to say what they felt, how they felt, whether they agreed or disagreed with those simple statements. And so you can see the votes there in the parklet, in the organized discussion summary. So it was a very convenient way of recognizing, having a discussion about what the committee members felt about parklets, whether they agreed or disagreed with various member statements, individual statements, and then enable the committee as a whole, subcommittee as a whole, to reach some consensus, even though there was some disagreement with some of the statements. As you can see, the votes sometimes went up or down and on different points. Helena, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, so I'm the way I'm interpreting the scoring that you did for the votes, the first number is for and the second one is against the statement.
Yes, the first number is always whether you agreed or disagree, and the second number is whether you that is, if for example, if I ask the committee whether it agreed with the first statement, obstructs a desirable two-way traffic flow. Oh, let's take the first one, provides an open space experience for the business. If I asked the ad hoc committee whether they agreed or disagreed, 4 people agreed and 1 person disagreed. Same thing with, let's go down to number 3, enables an active street scene. 3 people agreed, 2 people disagreed. And if you go to under B, for example, just to compare, if we asked the ad hoc committee whether they agreed or disagreed that parklets obstruct a desirable two-way traffic flow, 1 person agreed and 4 people disagreed with that statement. Okay, so that's how the vote should be read.
Okay. Now, are we, from our committee, from this ad hoc committee, the information that you've put together, are we supposed to vote on this and give our opinion of it before we submit it to the city council? Is that my
Absolutely.
understanding?
Yes. And Mrs. B?
Okay.
Mrs. B, do you have your hand up? No. Yes?
I think that was from a previous.
Okay. All right, good. So yeah, so then for convenience, what I did was I took the organized discussion summary and I asked the committee to decide on some key conclusions. And so there are 5 key conclusions that are referenced on page 3. And these key conclusions are really the core thoughts of the subcommittee that would be presented to the city council, of course, backed up by all the other information in the report. So really section 2 is the sort of the focused, recommendation of the ad hoc committee to the Citizens Advisory Committee to present to the city council. As you can see, there are 5. Parklets are perceived to be beneficial. There are noted adverse effects. However, the benefits outweigh the adverse effects. Parklets should not be prevalent on 3rd Street in the short term, and the present parklet experience should not be expanded. And this is a means of limiting the short-term effects that some committee members felt. And then it's important to understand and know the attitudes and perspectives of the community, business owners, and visitors. And so there should be some survey and some data gathered about those attitudes and perspectives. And then with respect to how long the existing parklets should remain, they should remain until the 3rd Street Master Plan construction begins. That I think is important to sort of a very key conclusion. The 3rd Street Master Plan then should be shaped by the experience that we're having with the current parklets. And then even though shaped by that experience, should be reimagined in that future streetscape. So those are the general conclusions. And then interestingly, Stephanie sent an article that really paralleled a lot of the discussion our ad hoc committee had with respect to the concerns and issues related to parklets, both short-term and long-term. I thought it was a great backup to this discussion. So that was just sent out recently. You probably didn't have a chance to read all of it, but if you do, it was a great exploration of the whole subject of parklets and permanence, streetscape, and so forth. So I highly recommend it. So yes, this report is intended to be discussed by the committee as a whole. Individual members are here and can certainly speak for themselves as members of the committee. And I recommend that the advisory committee not be shy about saying what they thought about the process and some of the conclusions that were made, and represent that to the rest of the Citizens Advisory Committee. So with that, I'm just going to turn it back over to Helena, and we can see then what the committee has to say about the report and the recommendation. And you did ask the ad hoc committee to do the heavy lifting here. I think they did. So I think they achieved very well what the Citizens Advisory Committee asked them to do. So I think they should be commended for great work.
I commend you all for taking the time out, the extra time that was necessary to put all this together for us. I think what would be important too for the team to know and for us to recommend from my perspective to the City Council is that for people who are not familiar with the whole parklet process, the idea is simply to convert a street parking space to space for people. Parklets provide an expansion of the sidewalk for places to stop, rest, and relax. And whether or not ours meet those criteria, that was part of the original idea with the whole pandemic in mind. So, but I would like to get the consensus of the group of what information we think is missing or need to be added to what was already presented to us, and how we would like to package it up to be submitted to the City Council, because I think our deadline is coming up soon, right, Brian?
Yeah, on that point, you want to get this to the Planning Commission for their May 3rd meeting, and you want to get this to the City Council for their May 17th meeting. And so here we are on April 6th, and you have another meeting April 20th to make any changes, or you can just simply be satisfied with what you're seeing here. But certainly you have another meeting where you can do more with this if you like.
So are there any comments from our committee in regards to, because I didn't see a final resolution as far as our recommendation. Is it outside of the one comment in that document?
I think Helena, the conclusions are in section 2, key conclusions.
I have some comments.
That's a recommendation of the ad hoc committee to the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Okay.
I have some comments. If now's the
Go
right
ahead,
time.
Luke.
I'll just speak generally about my opinions on the downtown parklets. If I'm correct, the parklets from the beginning were meant to be temporary response to the COVID-19 pandemic. With restaurant parklets, I think our city did the right thing for the wrong reason. I don't think adding parklets was the correct response to address the COVID-19 problem. But that being said, I do believe that restaurant parklets do add value to the downtown community and overall experience. Outdoor dining is a communal experience, and restaurant parklets do provide an important and unique space for this. However, I do not believe that retail spaces or parklets for retail spaces add much additional value to the downtown experience for the average community member, visitor, and business owner. And Helena, I think yours is basically the only retail parklet that's out there right now. What I've noticed is most of the time they're not really being used by community members or visitors, and in my opinion, it's kind of taking up valuable parking space and even space that could be used for fair events that draw many visitors to town. I do think that there should be a rent charge for the parklet spaces by the city to the business. The parklets are on public property, which should be used to benefit the community as a whole and not only individual business owners. if property is going to be allocated for private use, then there should be a rent charge to the business owners that elect to construct outdoor parklets. And this money should be used to further enhance the downtown experience for visitors and our community members. I really do like the restaurant parklets, and I would be happy if those remained. I don't think it's necessary for retail spaces, but I do think something should be done to address the money that was invested by people like Helena into these spaces if they were to be removed. That's my general opinion on the downtown parklets. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Luke. And I have a correction for you. My space is completely community. I have no products or anything on my space outside of a display of succulents that was produced by a resident and fellow business owner. And my parklet is commonly used for businesses to come and do meetings. We have people come in and get meetings all the time. So I'm not sure where you got your information from, but there's actually no product on my parklet, and we've used it for several community events. And with regards to the outside events coming in, this was the only time since I've been here for many years that we were able to realize a profit on the event day because our space was not taken over by a tent in front of our store, blocking off the visibility to the retail spaces on the 3rd downtown Main Street from that event. And traditionally, we don't realize business from the events. Yes, it brings visibility to the community, but it doesn't support the retail spaces. Any other comments from any other committee members?
Well, may I respond?
I think your time is up. I've already addressed your thing. You've already addressed your concerns. If you have any other comments to make, you can put it in, voice it in writing, and then submit it for review.
Thank you.
Mrs. B, do you have your hand up,
Yes.
Mrs. B?
Yes. In reference to the retail businesses, not my parklets are basically described even from community members as a community parklet because I am constantly putting on community events in fact, I'm in the process of preparing for the Easter event again. I've done Christmases since pandemic where the children come and they write letters to Santa. Santa's here. Gifts are given out. For Halloween, the same thing. For Easter, I give out Easter baskets, and it's not just for this community. I have people coming from as far away as San Francisco and to San Luis Obispo, which brings people into the community. People have had meetings. We set it up for Anna Caballero to come. We had signage and a space for her. So the parklets serve more than one purpose, at least mine does.
That's correct. Thank you, Mrs. B, for that. And as to reiterate, that we get a lot of seniors in San Juan Bautista that travel to San Juan just to get out, and it has become a resting spot for them to rest and relax.
Yes.
Mrs. B, as well as myself, because we are neighbors in our business, we've given them water. You know, on hot days, they've been able to take the pressure off. And so I think that's a really good added benefit. And let's note, we're the only ones on that side that actually offers space to sit down. Even before the parklets, we have benches in front of our stores to allow people that need to rest to be able to rest. And I think that's commendable. I believe there's no other hands up. Are there any other comments in regards to what was presented by the committee?
Yeah, let's give a chance for any other ad hoc committee members to talk about the ad hoc committee's recommendation to the Citizens Advisory Committee. And then as a procedural note, I think what would be appropriate, if you agree, just to be conservative here, is that we ask the Citizens Advisory Committee to vote on the 5 key conclusions as a way of forwarding recommendation to the City Council, backed up by by the ad hoc committee's work and report. So that's a suggestion for proceeding here. But certainly there may be other members, Economic Development Advisory Committee members or ad hoc committee members that want to have something to say.
Hi,
Is there
hi,
any, oh, sorry, go ahead.
this is Fran. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm sorry, just
We
out
can hear
here
you,
doing.
Fran.
Okay. So you know, when I went into this committee for the parklets, you know, it's leave your personal feelings at the door and just kind of look at it from a big picture standpoint. And so, you know, my comments were is I don't feel that we need any more parklets at this time. We really don't need. We need to wait and see what we do for our big picture plan for 3rd Street, and then incorporate those if we need a parklet, or do we have a better way to do outdoor seating and build that experience. As John mentioned, I do agree we need to pay rent, but it needs to go back to making the city and our streets pretty and our area. And I do feel that if you have a parklet that is not for hospitality uses, that it does need to be a key venue for community outdoor experiences, just as Ms. B had described. Hers was one of the first parklets that we were able to use for a dignitary who came through town during the peak of the pandemic and spoke to all of us. And it was very inspiring to have that in the middle of town. And so there is a use for that, but I do feel that we don't need any more. I think that we could have done a better job of spacing them out and measuring them. And there's some businesses that have 2 of them that shouldn't have 2 of them. So there's some adjustment that I think we should make. But in the end, I really feel that we need to keep what we have until we have the big picture plan for our 3rd Street. Thank you.
Very good. Stephanie?
Hi, I was the one that was a dissenting vote on pretty much everything. I was looking at it from more of a big picture view. And I have absolutely no problem at all with the parklets for the dining areas. I don't believe that retail parklets should be allowed. If you see in my notes, I did drive a lot of communities. I went over to the Monterey Peninsula and drove all those communities, and there were plenty of parklets that were for eating establishments, but I didn't see anything for retail. And that article that I forwarded, I think everyone should read, because at the end, there's a real nice synopsis about how we just kind of, everybody did, not just San Juan. It was kind of a knee-jerk reaction just to get everything going. And that now we need to rethink everything and to really incorporate it into the community. And especially in San Juan, because we do have the historical aspect as well. And for parklets, really what a parklet is it's something that is outdoor community space. So it's not retail and community space. It is dedicated outdoor community space. So basically that's all I wanted to say.
Great, thank you. Christina?
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Brian. Christina?
So I agree with what Fran had just said, and I respect Stephanie's opinion about the parklets as well. And I'm a person who likes to think outside of the box on a lot of things. I have witnessed within the 5 months that I've had a business open with the parklets that are surrounding me, and that includes Helena's and Mrs. B's. And my opinion, it had brought customers to the region of our region and our area, because they do provide a community service for the town. It's a community space, as Stephanie said, and they do provide events and things for people to be able to enjoy the town and experience the seasons that are being in the moment, like Christmas, Halloween, Easter. So I guess bottom line, I agree with what Fran was saying. If the retail people are going to be allowed to have the parklets, then provide a community space and utilize that as a community space. That's all.
Thank you so much for that, Christina. I also would like to know, and let's get a consensus from the group. Luke brought up an interesting point about in the event that parklets are not realized by retail space, the compensation for the funds that's lost from that. I don't know how that will work into this group, but I'm interested in, he brought it up, so I'm interested. And also, I would like to get a consensus from this group of actually how many people have participated and visited downtown during any function or even gone to the retail stores to support.
I have.
Okay, Teresa's hand is up.
I have two.
So have I.
Well, for that, I think we're thank you because you're supporting the community as a whole when you participate and you actually utilize the services that are being provided by the community. I see Mrs. B's hand is still up, Teresa's hand is up, and Lucas' hand is up. So I'm going to go with Teresa since the other two have already spoken.
Hello, everybody. This is a hard thing to look at because there's people that have put lots of money into parklets, and then we also have how do I say it? I think the majority of the parklets, wherever I've gone, because I've done some of the research also, is restaurants. But I see that our retail has put a lot of time and energy and money into parklets. And I'm not sure if, I guess what my thought is we take this to the end of the year, give everybody until the end of the year, at least look at it, but I don't think we take it all the way to the point of the master plan, because I don't see that happening probably for years. And as I go up and down the street, I see certain parklets that are being used and others that are not used as much. But like I said, this is a fine line because we have small businesses that have put money into this parklet situation, and it was to be for COVID, and now it's turning into more of a long-term thought for most people. So I guess what I would like to see is that we put not a deadline, because I don't like that what was happening before, June 30, March 30th and April, whatever, give everybody time to really think out their parklets and give the community and the city time to look at what's really necessary. And what I notice is some of the parklets take away from the historic buildings as far as visual. And so I think we just look at the whole, I guess everybody's been using this word, reimagine it. I love the parklets. So if we can reimagine it, but not take it out too far. That's my words of my 2 cents. Sorry.
Thank you, Teresa. Now I see hands up, but I'm not sure if these are new hands or these are just because you all didn't put your hands down. So if we can, identify the ones who actually have a statement or comment to make in regards to our process tonight. And we are, go ahead, Luke.
Well, just an additional comment. It's not unusual in this town for parklets to pop up and then be put away since COVID started. That's been true with Daisy's Saloon, with Unamos, and I think one other in town. They did invest the money into their parklets, probably not as much as Helena and the Thankful Co. and the hat store and the third business that's there. But one thing that I think should happen, if this is a community space, it should be treated like a park bench. And if, I guess this is also true for restaurants, then it's also true for the businesses in front of Thankful. If you walk by there at night, there is a line and a chain that prevents people from accessing it. If this is public, should be publicly accessible.
Let me correct you, Luke. Let me correct you, because that's not a true statement. Thankful Co's parklet is always open. It's used every day. We have people sitting there eating ice cream on it, seniors sitting there. So, and I give away water for free to the seniors that come out. So that is not a true statement. So please, if you're going to make a statement, make sure that you have some backing behind that. It's always open. There's no chain on my parklet at all. The only parklet that is currently changed because it's not ready for public access is notably because it has not been approved by the city as of yet. So we cannot have public engagement on that particular parklet.
There you go.
So with regards to the document, are we going to agree as a group tonight to adopt the recommendations of the subcommittee, or we want to put a little bit more to it and review it in our next meeting for approval then, and then submission to the planning, and then subsequent submission to the city council?
I'd like to say something before you
have a few more hands up.
Okay.
It was our recommendation that the parklets remain until the streetscape, because they're here and they're being utilized. We all know when that happens, they're all coming down, but we want it to be reimagined into the new streetscape to have similar access. And as far as the public, one of the rules when we were dealing with parklets initially is that they were to be closed off after business hours.
Thank you, Mrs. B. I have Jacqueline, Ms. Lopez.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just visiting the meeting tonight and just listening to your comments. They're not wasted on my ears. I'm getting a full picture of this committee. It looks like it's a mix of business owners, parklet owners, non-parklet owners, and engaged citizens as well that I can make. So my question to this ad hoc committee or committee is, are you, two questions. Number one, there is mention that after hours, the parklets are no longer accessible. Does that have to do with the liability aspect of it and who is responsible for that liability? And my second question, or comment, kind of both, is that I do know that there are several, part of what was, I guess, projected or proposed was that the parklets would be only on the main street. There are some, or maybe I'm not sure how many, that have taken the action, I guess, for lack of a better word, and I don't know how that was approved or allowed, to go away from the main street and in essence have more parklets than maybe just on the frontage road. Will you be addressing that when you pass this on to the commission and the city council? What would you be doing with these two questions or comments I made? Thank you.
So to answer your first question, yes, it was a liability issue. Each parklet owner was supposed to, as part of their approval, have liability insurance, and that named the city to cover any incidents. And in order to minimize any negative impact, they were asked to close off after business hours when no one can realize anything activity. Now, thankfully, on that main strip where you see the majority of the parklets between Notably Noble and Thankful Co., or actually the
Mission Cafe.
the Mission Cafe, pretty much all of those retail spaces have some kind of outside cameras with video and audio attached to them, and they are recorded. We haven't had any incidents so far outside of, I believe Mrs. B had some of her succulents stolen. I had some succulents stolen off my parklet from people just walking by, but their faces were covered and you couldn't identify who they were. Other than that, there's been no major incidents. With regards to your second comment, can you specify where those other parklets are? Because I haven't noticed them. And I don't know, Brian, if they've been put on your radar.
Yeah, I can answer that question. Initially there was a set of parklet guidelines, and I think Liz on the Economic Development Advisory Committee was instrumental in coordinating with the business owners for the installation of parklets that are currently here. Then there was a parklet committee established by the city council, and the parklet committee came up with a new set of guidelines. A new set of guidelines specify parklets only allowed on 3rd Street. And so there are some parklets that were grandfathered in because they were constructed previous to the adoption of the new guidelines. So predominantly on 3rd Street, but there were some that were allowed to be constructed on side streets because there wasn't a guideline at that time that restricted that. So that's how they got there. And that's where we are today. So that's an answer to that question. I think Christina's had her hand up for a little while.
Christina, did you have another?
Yeah, I wanted to address the time frame for the parklets. It's easy to say for people who don't have the parklets to say, give it to the end of this year when they don't have the investment in the parklet. I just got approved for a permit for a parklet, and I'm looking into the investment, and it's going to be well over $5,000 when everything is said and done. And I just can't wrap my mind around investing $5,000 or more into a parklet to be taken down at the end of the year. So I would like to have a parklet because I feel it would expand the seating in my business, because I don't have seating in my business. Bring awareness as well to my place, and to give people an opportunity to be able to enjoy the outdoor environment within San Juan Bautista. But investing the amount of money that I need to in a startup business, and to be able to take it down at the end of the year, it really is a discouragement, or what's the word for it? It's not wanting to do it because it's a huge investment. So if you're going to comment, and I respect the comment about a time frame, but just please remember the huge investment that it takes for these parklets to be coming up. Thank you.
Before
So-
anybody else comments, Helene, I'd just like to say one thing. You're hearing a lot of personal stories, personal examples, and perspectives about parklets. And I think they're useful as they represent the bigger picture. These are important questions. What Christina is saying is also relevant to other parklets. So, and also relevant to the streetscape in general. So even though it may seem as though these are self-serving comments, they're not really. They are representative, I think, and they should be taken in that light. So, and this is something that the ad hoc committee had to wrestle with a bit, but make sure that the bigger picture is always in sight here. I think Stephanie had her hand up.
Yes, I would just like to say that we need to remember that retail businesses are non-essential businesses. And that's basically what we're wrestling with here, that there really is not a problem with the dining establishments. So I wanted to point that out, that it is non-essential. And also point out that the makeup of the committee was basically two parklet owners, one that is going to be a parklet owner, and then two citizens. So that's all.
So Stephanie, as a, I need to address that. What makes you think that retail is not essential?
It was not essential. It was not essential as of during the pandemic.
That's not correct. It depends on what you offered in your retail space.
Yeah. So your businesses weren't. Yes. If you were a grocery store, a bank.
That's not correct. That's not correct. That's not correct.
So then show me where it's not correct.
So retail, if you provided any kind of food, you were considered essential. If you, I provide health and wellness for my store, and under the guidelines from the federal government, I was considered essential because I provided supplements that people take. I provided organic, holistic teas that people take. That makes us essential. So you have to look at.
Okay, so yours is essential. Mrs. Baines wouldn't be essential, and the hat company wouldn't be essential.
You're wrong again, dear. You should come in my store and see what I have.
I've been in it.
But then you missed a lot.
And I also don't agree that with parklets that you should extend your business out into the, into the street to have more space for your inventory. That just doesn't make sense to me.
So let's get a consensus on the group. Thank you, Stephanie, for your comments. Sure. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, I've had my hand up.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. B.
The parklet that's on the side street was Mission Cafe.
Okay.
And that was an issue that was taken care of. Once Mission Cafe, when they move, that parklet goes away, period.
Both parklets go away.
And there will be no other parklets allowed on any of the side streets. That was the decision from the initial committee.
That's correct. So I have a suggestion.
In light of the time.
Yeah.
Give me one second, Brian.
Yeah,
one
Helene,
second,
I'd like
Brian.
to ask the committee if you would like to just run through the organized discussion summary to get an idea.
Wait a minute, Brian. I need to stop you for one moment. It is 7:08. If we would like to continue to discuss this, I need the consensus of the group to extend some time for us to be able to deal with this a little bit longer.
Yeah, good point.
Aye.
Aye.
I heard, okay.
Aye. I vote to extend.
Aye.
Aye.
So I believe the group is on the same page. We would like to extend the time in order to fan out this issue a little bit longer.
Hey, Elena,
Yes.
this is Fran, and I certainly vote to extend, but again, I just want to make sure that just like our committee, when we met in the city hall, I said to everybody, after this, we're all gonna hug and we're gonna be fine. So I just want to remind everyone that let's not make it personal, express ideas, comments, but let's keep tensions down. That's all I ask is if we continue. And I think as far as our document, I really feel like we need to have everybody review it and come back with their comments about the document and with their recommendations at the next meeting. I don't think we're going to do that today, is my 2 cents.
I agree with Fran.
I agree.
I agree with Fran as well.
I agree.
I agree with her as well.
Me too.
So I think the consensus of the group is that we all reconvene at a later time. We give our comments. Should we send those comments in? Is everybody in agreement to sending your comments in to Brian so that we can have a formal decision in our next meeting?
Yes.
But I do think that we should have some sort of deadline on this so that this doesn't drag on for meetings and meetings.
We do have a deadline, Luke. Thank you. Because we have to submit this to the Planning Commission as well as the City Council. So the deadline is, we need to have it in by next week so it can be submitted. And actually, you should have it in by the end of this week. So Brian has enough time to put everything together and get it back out to us so we can review it, not the day of the meeting, but prior to the meeting, a couple of days, so that we can have it fresh and understand and process everything. So we'll be ready to discuss and vote in our next meeting.
Can I say something about that?
I second what the chair says. Make
Can
sure
I-
everybody gets their stuff in.
Can I say something about that? Just
Yes.
for a second?
Yes,
So I
Brian.
would like to have your comments to me by no later than next Wednesday, close of business. And this is a typical deadline for me because that enables me to turn around a staff report to you for distribution by the end of the week for your meeting the following week. And in previous deadlines, I get some stuff from committee members on Friday. I get stuff from committee members on the Monday, just prior to the Wednesday meeting, and that is not going to work. So the only thing that I would like is if you agree to the deadline, that you don't feel any pressure to give me your comments. But I would like to have you honor the deadline, those of you who wish to provide comments. And if you're not going to provide comments, I would like you to tell me that you're not going to provide comments, just as a courtesy. That way I'm not doing outreach to the committee members searching for comments that are never coming, or waiting for comments that are going to come at the 11th hour and really can't be incorporated successfully. So just, take that into consideration, please. So next Wednesday, as I said before, next Wednesday, close of business would be your deadline for me.
Thank you, Brian. It's a lot of work what you're doing. And I don't know, we're all going to work to make sure we meet that deadline because it's a lot of work what you do. So thank you.
And I would suggest whatever you don't have, just discard.
The other thing I would recommend is that you really pay attention here to the organized discussion summary, which leads directly to the conclusions, and that you take a look at the article that was written, Stephanie provided, and that you look at the discussion notes as a way of understanding the organized discussion summary. So one thing does lead to the next, so that would be an appropriate way to approach the report. So.
In regards to our next meeting, thank you, Brian, for that. And I agree. I think we need to move this on. We're gonna do we were discussing whether or not we would do a in-person meeting or continue to do the Zoom meetings. So I just want to get a consensus of the group or some kind of a hybrid of it. What are we thinking? would be most beneficial to our group at this point?
If you guys did a hybrid, then I could make more meetings. But if you did an in-person, I could tell you right now with my schedule, I'm a hospitality business. So all of my stuff is at night. I can't guarantee I would be able to make every meeting. And I think I bring value to this group. And so I don't want to get fired.
You wouldn't get fired. It'll always probably be a hybrid meeting. We just wanted to know how many people were willing and wanting to meet in person.
Maybe just a show of hands.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead, Luke.
I think in person is great, but Zoom is probably more accessible to more people. They can make it better, just like Fran said, but maybe to accommodate for the in-person and the value that we get from that, we can have maybe a group day, field trip or something. No, well, not a field trip, but where we all get together and socialize.
Well, I think what's happening with our group is that a lot of people haven't met each other, and it's hard to build a cohesive bond with the kind of information and the work that we need to move forward with. And it's going to be critical at some point that we all meet. Thankfully, I met Teresa this week. She came downtown to get to see what was going on, and that was my first encounter with her, and it was a pleasant one. I recently was able to meet Stephanie, which was a good meeting. We do a meeting before our meeting with this group. And so now we're doing that in person, and that was very beneficial to us as a team. So I think it's critical that at least we do this hybrid effect. So the people who do want to participate, we can come together and meet. And then the people who still need to do the Zoom is open too. It's not inaccessible. It's still going to be a Zoom meeting it's just a hybrid.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that actually makes way more sense.
It's important to have a hybrid because our advisors, I know, will not be able to make some of the meetings in person. So I know Renee, certainly, our Brian is in San Luis Obispo. So, that's a stretch. So I think Zoom hybrid is always going to be important. Eventually, City Hall chambers will be set up for Zoom hybrid meetings. So, that's in the works. But in the meantime,
That means I have to put pants on.
you can put that together. Yeah.
Oh boy. I do want to say, Madam Chair, to Luke's point, I do like the idea of sometime having us meet socially, and I would gladly open up my tasting room in downtown for such a day.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much, Fran, for that opportunity. I think that's going to be critical for us to do some kind of a socialization with our group so we can kind of bond. And like you said, Fran, we all have different opinions. We're here, we all have our own mindsets, but we all have to work together as a collective. We're here for a common cause and a goal, and that's for the betterment of our community. So there's no opinions that are not valid. Everyone has a valid opinion because it's their opinion. It's how do we work it together so we can complete this picture that we're trying to construct for our community. And so I appreciate everyone for participating. I hope no feelings are hurt or no offenses are taken. If it is, please brush them off because it wasn't intended that way. It is
Cheers.
what it is.
Cheers to all that.
In regards to our next meeting, should we just continue on with the Zoom meetings, Brian, and then as we formulate the hybrid, we announce
I think
that?
so. I'm ready to accommodate a hybrid meeting.
Okay.
It'll be a little awkward because the screen won't really be large unless I can get a projector and project it. I don't think we have the technology yet to do that. Zoom meetings are a lot easier for now.
Okay, so we'll continue on with the Zoom meetings until at which point in time that the facility is set up so we can do the hybrid meetings. But in the meantime, we will put together some kind of a mixer with the assistance of Fran and her tasting room that will allow us to kind of bond, if you will.
Yeah,
Well, I
that'll
really
have,
do.
that'll
Go ahead.
have to be a posted meeting.
Okay, so should we vote on that now?
Sorry.
Aye.
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 Aye. Cheers.
Aye.
It sounds like we have a consensus of the group, Brian. So should we come up with some meeting dates and then you send them out?
Well, how
So that
about,
can be
how
posted
about if,
publicly?
Helena, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, how about if you and Fran kind of discuss that with Brian, you know, and then you can send something out, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can talk with Helena and Stephanie about it, and then we can let Brian know.
Yeah,
Sounds
perfect.
good.
Sounds good.
Well, I believe the time is well spent for tonight. We're going to move to close this meeting.
I move to adjourn.
I second.
And so it is.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Franny, you can pick up your coupons tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. I got Blitz blends today. Thank you.
All right, sweetie.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Night,
night.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.